I discovered my husband entangled with my best friend in the bed we once called ours. But what I did next made him fall to his knees, pleading for another chance, leaving everyone stunned. A warm welcome to my beautiful, loyal family. I'm your storyteller, James, and today I want to start by sending my heartfelt prayers to you all. May peace, love, and countless blessings flood your lives and gently guide your paths each day. I have something truly profound to share with you today, a story that will stir your soul. I ask you, dear friends, to stay with me until the very end, because this one is going to strike a deep chord. Don't forget to tell me where you're tuning in from down in the comments. I love connecting with each and every one of you. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a single moment of our shared journey. Now let's dive right into the story. Anna, breathtaking in her effortless beauty and grace at just 25, turned heads wherever she went. Not merely for her radiant looks, her glowing sun-warmed brown skin, or the intricate cascade of braids down her back, but for the undeniable warmth that shone from within. Her eyes held kindness, her voice was soft as a lullaby, and she carried herself with a humility rare among those born into vast wealth. As the only daughter of a billionaire magnate, she was cocooned in luxury from birth, yet her heart always craved something deeper, not diamonds or grand galas, but authentic connection, soul-deep love, and unshakable loyalty. And she found exactly that in Adam, the man who saw her not as a symbol of privilege, but as a woman worthy of love. His ambition burned bright, yet his heart was tender, and his smile spoke 1,000 unspoken dreams. With Adam, Anna discovered a fragile, beautiful vulnerability she'd never known before. Their lives entwined as naturally as ivy curling toward the sun, their conversations deepening from casual talks to soul-bearing confessions, their stolen glances blossoming into an undeniable longing. It wasn't rushed, though at times it felt like a heady, unstoppable tide. Each moment they shared cemented a foundation stronger than any whirlwind romance. Dreams whispered into the night, laughter ringing through quiet spaces, gentle touches, and lingering kisses all built a love that felt preordained. And so, before a captivated world, under a dusk-tinted sky dusted with stardust, surrounded by a sea of roses and the soft hum of violins, Anna and Adam vowed themselves to one another, husband and wife. Their kiss at the altar wasn't for show. It was a sacred promise to shelter their love against every storm and shadow life would bring. And later, when night cloaked the world and candles painted their sweet in gold, they whispered vows stronger than any contract, loyalty beyond temptation, love beyond circumstance, hearts knit tightly by devotion. In that sacred, silent space, with nothing but the gentle sounds of their breathing and the rhythm of love echoing between them, Anna believed with everything she was that nothing could ever threaten what they had. Every tender touch, every whispered word, sealed their promises over and over again, until it felt like the very universe bowed to the beauty of their union. And she trusted it blindly, believing that Adam would walk with her through every season of life, that their love would grow old but never grow tired. Some love stories weren't just written for fairy tales. They were lived and breathed by two souls who had found in each other something infinitely rare. And to Anna, their love was exactly that, a sacred truth unfolding day by day. Alicia was never just a friend to Anna. She was her sister by heart, her reflection in a noisy, unforgiving world. Their bond, formed in the marble halls of an elite academy, had blossomed instantly. The kind of friendship so rare it felt like destiny. While time weathered most relationships, theirs only deepened, thick with years of shared dreams, whispered fears, and joyous victories. Satin pajama sleepovers, late-night study sessions with chocolate-stained textbooks, clothes borrowed and never returned. They were more than best friends. They were soulmates, tethered by a devotion that knew no boundaries. Anna, despite her gilded upbringing, never let wealth create distance between them. She shared everything: vacations, dresses, dreams. Because in Anna's heart, Alicia wasn't just a guest in her life. She was family, from sun-soaked beach days collecting seashells to confiding about the men they hoped to marry someday. Alicia was stitched into the very fabric of Anna's memories. So when Adam entered Anna's world, it was Alicia who heard every giddy confession, who teased and encouraged her to take the leap of faith. Alicia had even stood by Anna's side at the altar, holding her bouquet and whispering grounding words into her ear as the crowd faded away. Anna had looked at her, eyes shining with gratitude, thanking the stars that she had not just a husband, but a soul sister too. Never, not even in her darkest, most irrational fears, did she imagine that behind Alicia's bright smile hid a secret, a betrayal so sharp it would tear apart everything Anna held sacred. In Anna's world, Alicia was loyalty incarnate, a truth so unshakable it never occurred to her to doubt it. Anna believed that the bond they shared, stitched together through years of laughter, tears, and silent promises, was unbreakable. She would have defended Alicia against any whisper of suspicion, would have trusted her with her life and her heart without hesitation. Never did it cross her mind that the woman who helped fasten her wedding gown, who fluffed her veil and kissed her cheek before she walked to the altar, could be capable of such treachery. Love, Anna would later learn, can blind the wisest hearts. Trust can sometimes be a sword turned inward, and betrayal doesn't always come from strangers. Sometimes it's the hands that once held you steady that push you off the edge. But in that innocent chapter of her life, Anna lived blissfully unaware of the shadows gathering at the edges of her happiness, of the choices that would shatter her world. Months after the wedding, Anna and Adam still basked in the golden haze of newlywed bliss. Anna, radiant as ever, juggled her roles as a devoted wife and an emerging figure in her father's vast empire, with the grace of someone born for greatness. Though luxury cushioned every step she took, Anna had always been drawn to purpose and responsibility. Her father's urgent business demanded her presence overseas for a critical series of meetings, a trip she couldn't postpone. Adam, deeply invested in building his own career, stayed behind, supportive and encouraging as ever. His work consumed long hours, but he wore his commitment to Anna like armor, always singing her praises for the way she balanced love, ambition, and legacy without faltering. The night before her departure, Adam, despite his exhaustion, orchestrated a quiet, loving evening, just for the two of them. He filled their home with the warm flicker of candles, the scent of her favorite dishes wafting through the rooms, creating a sanctuary of love amid the chaos of life. Anna, touched beyond words, felt her heart swell as she sat across from him, their laughter blending with the soft clink of glasses and the low hum of their favorite songs. Every glance between them was heavy with gratitude and affection, a silent reaffirmation of the life they had chosen together. After dinner, they moved to the couch, where Anna curled against Adam's chest, feeling the strong, steady beat of his heart under her ear. Adam held her tighter that night, his lips brushing her hair as he whispered promises into the quiet. "I'll miss you every second," he said, voice rough with sincerity. Anna, blinking back tears, smiled up at him and whispered back, "I'll miss you too, but I'll be back before you know it." They clung to each other, as if imprinting the moment into their souls, savoring the weight of their love. And when morning came, Anna kissed him goodbye with lingering tenderness, believing that no distance, no matter how vast, could erode what they had built together. As she was driven to the private jet waiting to whisk her away, she glanced once more at their home and felt nothing but peace, utterly certain that her heart was safe where she had left it. With Adam, standing on the doorstep, watching her leave with love shining in his eyes. It was best to stay focused, but Anna's mind kept returning to Adam and the promise they had shared the night before. During breaks, she often thought about him, imagining his smile, the way he looked when he held her close, the softness of his voice when he whispered sweet words to her. Despite the distance, she felt a constant connection to him, a bond that could never be broken. Or so she believed. Yet back home, in the absence of her presence, something was shifting, something Anna could never have anticipated. What started as innocent moments of loneliness for Adam, the absence of her laughter, her smile, her gentle touch, slowly began to morph into a dangerous temptation. And Alicia, her ever-supportive best friend, found herself drawn closer to Adam, offering him the comfort of companionship in Anna's absence. At first it was subtle, the kind of thing Anna wouldn't have noticed. The way Alicia would linger a little too long during her visits. The way Adam's smile seemed a little brighter when Alicia was around. But these small moments would soon add up to something much more complicated. Something Anna would never expect. As the days passed, Anna threw herself into her work, determined to make the most of the trip. She remained in regular contact with Adam, sending him texts and calls, reminding him how much she missed him. Adam replied with affectionate words, telling her he was fine and looking forward to her return. Yet something in his tone began to change. A subtle distance, a slight coolness she chalked up to his own busy schedule. She didn't know that, back home, a storm was brewing, waiting for the perfect moment to erupt. Anna returned several days later, heart brimming with love and excitement. She was eager to reunite with Adam, never suspecting that the next few days would be the most devastating of her life. She was blissfully unaware that her world was about to crumble, her trust about to shatter, her love for Adam about to be tested in ways she could never have imagined. The final moments of her trip had been a blur of meetings and flights, but as the plane touched down, her heart soared. She imagined the moment she would embrace Adam, kiss him with all the longing she had bottled up, and feel the warmth of his love wrap around her once again. Little did she know, Adam was waiting too, but not for the reunion she had imagined. When Anna walked through the front door, the house was eerily silent. Something felt off, but she dismissed the feeling, eager to see him. She hurried to the bedroom, her luggage abandoned by the door, her heart pounding with anticipation. She opened the door, and time froze. There, tangled together in a passionate embrace, were Adam and Alicia, her best friend, the man she loved more than anything, the two people she trusted most in the world. For a long moment, Anna couldn't move. She couldn't breathe. The world around her disappeared into a haze of disbelief and horror. Her heart, so full of love just moments before, now shattered into 1,000 unrecognizable pieces. Tears burned her eyes as reality crashed down. Without a word, without a scream, she turned and ran, her legs barely carrying her as she fled from the house, from the betrayal, from the wreckage of the life she thought she had. Outside, the cool air struck her, but it did nothing to cool the raging fire inside. The pain consumed her, overwhelming and absolute. How could they? How could Adam, the man who had promised to love her forever? How could Alicia, the friend she had loved like a sister? Questions spiraled through her mind, each one more painful than the last. How long had it been going on? How long had they been lying to her face? Anna didn't know how far she walked, how long she cried. All she knew was that she couldn't go back. Not yet. Maybe not ever. The house that once felt like home now felt like a prison, a monument to broken promises. Eventually, she found herself sitting on the edge of her childhood bed. The room that once held her dreams now feeling foreign and mocking. The framed pictures on the wall, the faded stuffed animals on the shelf. They all seemed to belong to another life, another girl who had believed in fairy tales. Her mother's soft voice barely reached her. "He's sorry, sweetheart. He loves you," she said. But how could Anna believe that now? How could someone who had promised her forever destroy everything so easily? The sobs racked her body, endless and hollow. Adam's texts and calls flooded her phone, each one a desperate plea for forgiveness, for a chance to explain. But Anna couldn't face him. Every time his name flashed across her screen, a fresh wave of nausea rose in her stomach. She had been a fool, a naive girl who had believed in love, believed in forever. And Adam had proven that even the most sacred promises could be broken. Still, a small, broken part of her clung to the memories. Their wedding night, his whispered vows, the way he had once looked at her as though she were his whole world. "You promised me, Adam. You both promised me," she whispered through her tears, her voice breaking. But promises meant nothing now. Nothing could heal the jagged wound they had carved into her heart. Sitting alone in the silence of her childhood room, Anna realized, love, real love, wasn't supposed to end this way. But sometimes, no matter how much you give, no matter how deeply you trust, it just does. Anna stood frozen in the doorway, the echo of his words crashing against the walls of her heart. For a moment, the world seemed to hold its breath. She stared down at him, this broken man who had once held her dreams in the palm of his hand and crushed them without a second thought. His tears were real. His pain was real. But so was hers. The silence stretched between them, thick with everything unsaid, everything lost. Adam, she finally said, her voice barely above a whisper, trembling with the weight of all the memories, the love, and the unbearable hurt. I loved you more than anything. I believed in us. And you destroyed that. You destroyed me. He sobbed openly now, his forehead pressing against her knees as if praying for a miracle. I know, he choked out. I know, and I hate myself for it. But I swear to you, Anna, I am not that man anymore. I'll spend every day proving it if you'll just let me. Anna's hands clenched into fists at her sides, her heart a battlefield between longing and self-respect. A part of her, the part that still remembered how his smile could light up her world, wanted to believe him, wanted to fall into his arms and pretend that the nightmare had never happened. But the stronger part, the part that had survived sleepless nights, endless tears, and the shattering of every dream she had held, knew better. You're right about one thing, she said slowly, her eyes glistening with fresh tears. You're not the man I loved anymore, and I'm not the woman who would take you back just because you're sorry. He looked up at her then, his face crumpled in anguish. I can't erase what you did, Anna continued, her voice steadier now, filled with the bittersweet strength of someone who had walked through fire and come out scarred but standing. I can't forget it, and I can't be with someone I'll never be able to fully trust again. The finality in her words hit Adam like a physical blow. He bowed his head, defeated, tears dripping onto the hardwood floor. I loved you, Anna whispered one last time, the words slicing through her like a knife. But I love myself more now. And with that, she gently closed the door between them, the soft click of the latch sounding louder than any scream. Inside her small apartment, Anna leaned against the door, her whole body trembling, tears spilling freely down her cheeks. She had thought that saying goodbye would feel like liberation, like reclaiming her soul. Instead, it felt like mourning a death, the death of the girl who had once believed love could conquer anything. But somewhere, deep within that vast and aching emptiness, there was also a spark, a fragile, flickering hope. The hope of something new, something real, something that she would build, piece by precious piece, all on her own. And this time, she vowed silently, she would never lose herself for love again. She deserved everything. And for the first time in his life, Adam truly understood what it meant to fight for someone. Not with grand gestures alone, but with consistency, with truth, with the quiet, patient rebuilding of something he had once so carelessly destroyed. When Anna finally arrived, she stood at the entrance of the terrace, motionless for a long moment. The sight before her stole her breath. The soft candlelight, the canopy of tiny fairy lights strung overhead, blending into the vast starlit sky. The quiet, wistful music floating through the air. And Adam, standing beside the table, his heart laid bare in the trembling hope etched across his face. It wasn't the extravagance that struck her. It was the intention, the undeniable, aching sincerity in every tiny detail. The way he had remembered, the way he had listened, the way he had tried. For a heartbeat, Anna felt the walls around her heart falter. She took a tentative step forward. Adam, noticing her hesitation, moved slowly, pulling out her chair with a gentle, almost reverent motion, never once pressuring her, only offering, only inviting. Thank you for coming, he said, his voice low, thick with emotion. I know I don't deserve tonight, but I want to spend it showing you that I can be the man you deserve. Anna looked at him, really looked at him, and for the first time in a long time, she didn't see the man who had broken her heart. She saw the man who regretted it, who was trying, with every fiber of his being, to put the pieces back together. Silently, she walked toward the table and sat down. It wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't forgetting. It wasn't a promise of tomorrow. But it was a beginning, a fragile, trembling, painfully beautiful beginning. And maybe, just maybe, Beginnings were enough. While Adam might have been trying to sweep up the broken pieces, there was no guarantee they could ever be whole again. Anna felt the familiar ache every time his name flashed across her phone, every time a message or a gift arrived. Yet she couldn't bring herself to fully embrace the man who had once caused her so much pain. She thanked him politely, offering a smile that never quite reached her eyes, pretending his thoughtful efforts were enough to tear down the walls she had so carefully built around her heart. But inside she knew better. She knew the hurt ran deeper than any apology, any grand gesture. Adam could never undo what he had done. The betrayal lingered like a shadow in her mind, resurfacing every time she looked at him. It wasn't just the infidelity that hurt, it was the lies, the manipulation, the horrifying realization that the man she had once trusted with her whole heart had discarded her when it suited him. The cracks in their relationship weren't cracks at all. They were chasms, far too wide to bridge with flowers or heartfelt words. So Anna maintained her distance. She smiled when he spoke, nodded when he shared his feelings, but there was always a barrier between them, something invisible yet undeniable. Her gaze would shift away from his. Her voice stiffened whenever vulnerability tried to creep in. She reminded herself over and over not to fall again, not to forget the pain. At night in the silence of her apartment, she would clutch her pillow and battle the memories. Sometimes, against her better judgment, her hand would find her phone, scrolling through Adam's messages, each one overflowing with apologies, with desperate declarations of love. "I'm sorry, Anna, please. Let me prove it. You're the love of my life. I'll do whatever it takes." And still, part of her couldn't let go. How could she? How could she trust him again after everything? She had once given him her entire heart, and he had shattered it. She thought about the nights they had shared, the promises they had whispered into the dark, and how easily it had all crumbled when temptation knocked on his door. Could broken hearts ever truly heal? Could trust ever be rebuilt once it had been so thoroughly destroyed? She wanted to believe it could. She wanted to believe that time, patience, and effort could heal even the deepest wounds. But the truth was, she didn't know. And that uncertainty gnawed at her, eating away at the faith she once had in love. Could she risk her heart again? Could she risk herself? She didn't have an answer. And so night after night, Anna lay in bed, lonely, aching, uncertain, wishing she could either forget him entirely or find the strength to believe again. But every wish ended the same way, with her mind circling back to Adam, the man who had once been her everything, and now was little more than a ghost of the boy she had loved. No matter how many gifts he sent, no matter how many heartfelt words he offered, the road to healing wasn't one he could walk for her. It was a journey she would have to make on her own, even if a part of her still longed for him. The storm outside raged, rain lashing against the windows, lightning slicing through the sky. But the wildest storm was inside her chest, pounding against her ribs. When the knock came at the door, Anna hesitated. Her hands trembled as she wiped the tears from her cheeks, the silent witnesses to her loneliness. When she opened the door, there he was. Adam stood before her, drenched to the bone, his clothes clinging to his frame, his face twisted with anguish. His eyes, wild, desperate, met hers. For a long, suspended moment, neither spoke. The confident man who had once swept her off her feet was gone. In his place stood someone stripped bare, vulnerable, broken. His voice, when it finally came, was raw and trembling. "Anna, please, I've changed. I need your love. I need you. You're my everything. I can't breathe without you." The words hung in the air between them, heavy with sorrow, heavy with regret. And for the first time in a long while, Anna didn't just see the man who had betrayed her. She saw the man who had once loved her fiercely, the man she had believed in. Her heart caught in her chest. The walls she had spent so long building began to tremble, hairline cracks spiderwebbing across the armor she had forged from pain. She had sworn she would never let him in again. And yet there she was, stepping forward. Before she knew it, she was kneeling before him, her trembling hands reaching for his rain-slicked face. His eyes fluttered shut as he leaned into her touch, and she felt the heat of his skin beneath the cold rain. Tears blurred her vision, his and hers mingling as they fell. She couldn't hold them back. She couldn't pretend that she didn't still feel something. Pulling him into her arms, Anna clung to him, shaking. The storm outside faded into a dull roar, the world falling away until there was nothing but the two of them and the fragile thing between them. Something broken, but still breathing. Without thinking, she lifted her face to his and kissed him. It was a kiss born of pain and desperation, but also of hope. It spoke of everything they had lost, and everything they might still find. He kissed her back with a hunger that made her knees weak, with a tenderness that unraveled every defense she had built. The kiss deepened, slow, searching, as if they were trying to remember who they had been to each other before everything fell apart. In that moment, the world outside could have burned to ash, and it wouldn't have mattered. All that existed was him and her, and the love that somehow, unbelievably, still lived between them. When Anna finally pulled away, breathless and trembling, she realized the storm in her heart had begun to quiet. There was still so much uncertainty ahead, still so much healing to do. But for the first time in a long time, Anna allowed herself to believe. Maybe, just maybe, love could find its way back through the wreckage. That night, under the silver glow of the moon filtering through the curtains, they found each other again. Not as the people they had been, but as something new, something stronger. In every kiss, every touch, every whispered apology, they began to rebuild, thread by fragile thread, a bond that could no longer be destroyed by simple betrayal or broken promises. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't easy. But it was real. And sometimes, Anna realized, real was enough. Her lips trailed through his hair, down his neck, memorizing the feel of his skin beneath her fingertips. Every movement was deliberate, every touch intentional. Each kiss an act of tenderness, speaking of forgiveness and renewal. As their bodies moved together, they found solace not merely in the physical expression of love, but in the emotional release that accompanied it. There was no need for words. Everything that had been left unsaid, the doubts, the fears, the hurt, was slowly washed away, piece by piece, until all that remained was a love reborn. The moment stretched on, timeless and unhurried, as though they had all the time in the world to rediscover each other. There were no walls between them now, no barriers, no hesitations. They were laid bare before one another, emotionally, physically, spiritually, sharing a connection that transcended the simple act of making love. When it was over, they lay together in silence, their bodies entwined, their hearts beating in perfect unison. Adam held Anna close, his fingers tracing gentle patterns on her skin, as if trying to imprint the moment into his memory, afraid to lose the peace they had found. Anna clung to him, her head resting on his chest, listening to the steady rhythm of his heartbeat, a grounding reminder that they were no longer lost, no longer broken. For the first time in months, they slept in peace. It wasn't the kind of peace that came easily. It was a peace earned, fought for, and won through the painful journey of healing, forgiveness, and rediscovery. But it was peace nonetheless, and as they drifted off to sleep, the world outside could spin however it wished. For Anna and Adam, in that quiet, sacred moment, everything was right. They had found their way back to each other, not just with their bodies, but with their hearts. The love they once shared had been tested and survived. In that survival, it had become something stronger, an unbreakable bond. They didn't announce their reunion to the world. Perhaps that was the most significant choice they made, to keep it sacred, too precious and fragile to be shared beyond themselves. Their love had been tested in ways they could never have imagined, and it was only now, in these quiet moments between them, that they truly understood the depth of what they once took for granted. Their journey had been filled with pain, betrayal, and loss. But from that darkness emerged a chance for redemption, a new beginning. There were no grand gestures, no public declarations, only two people quietly rebuilding what had been broken, piece by piece. They started small, therapy sessions that helped them unpack the emotional scars they both carried. Adam, once so self-assured and proud, showed up with humility, acknowledging the hurt he had caused and the ways he had failed Anna. His words no longer sought to justify, but to understand, to heal. Anna, too, faced her own battles, confronting the deep wounds she had tried so long to ignore. Yet through it all, she never gave up, not on Adam and not on herself. There were moments when they simply sat in silence, letting the weight of everything they had endured sink in. They knew it was necessary to feel the pain to truly move forward. They talked, really talked, about everything. The good, the bad, the ugly. Their conversations were raw, vulnerable, honest. No more hiding, no more pretending. In these moments, Anna saw the man Adam had become. Not the arrogant, self-absorbed person who once betrayed her, but a man who had been humbled, reshaped by his mistakes, and who now loved her with a devotion she had never seen before. Gone was the facade. In its place stood humility, tenderness, and unwavering love. And slowly, Anna allowed herself to believe again, to open her heart to the future they could create together. It wasn't easy. There were setbacks, moments when old fears crept in, and the shadows of the past loomed large. But they faced each challenge together, their bonds strengthening with every hurdle they overcame. Long walks through the city became their grounding ritual, hands intertwined, hearts aligned. These walks were not just about physical movement. They were emotional journeys where hopes, dreams, and silent promises were shared. Anna had once feared that trust, once shattered, could never be rebuilt. But with every gesture, every conversation, every tear shed together, she began to believe that they could not only rebuild, but build something even stronger. The chapter with Alicia, the betrayal, the pain, became a closed book, never reopened. Anna realized that their story was not defined by someone else's actions. It was theirs to write. And the love they shared now was no longer haunted by comparisons or doubts. It was stronger, richer, and infinitely more resilient. Their love had been forged in the fires of heartbreak and risen, like a phoenix from the ashes. It was no longer naive or untested. It was tempered by hardship, strengthened by endurance. Adam and Anna knew they were no longer the people they had once been. They had changed, grown, evolved. And through that transformation, they found their way back to each other, not just as lovers, but as partners, equals, soulmates. Their new beginning wasn't about erasing the past. It was about building something entirely new, something that belonged to them and them alone. Their love was no longer just about passion. It was about quiet strength, about the peace they built together. There would still be challenges ahead, but they faced the future without fear, hand in hand, heart to heart, ready for whatever life would bring. Today, Adam and Anna live in a sun-drenched home by the sea, where the golden light filters through open windows, and the scent of salt and flowers drifts on the breeze. Inside, there is only peace, a serenity they fought long and hard to achieve. Their home is filled with laughter, soft murmurs, and the quiet hum of a love that has endured. Every week, Adam brings Anna flowers, not out of obligation, but because he cherishes her. Each bouquet, whether wildflowers, roses, or a handful of blooms from the garden, is a living symbol of his love, of their journey. Anna still paints. Her easel stands in the corner of their light-filled living room, overlooking the waves. Her brushstrokes are vibrant, alive with passion, capturing the beauty of their life together. Her canvases no longer bear the shadows of sadness, but the vibrant colors of joy, hope, and love. Their embrace is deeper now, every hug lingering, every touch more meaningful, an unspoken acknowledgement of what they almost lost, and what they fought so hard to reclaim. Their laughter rings louder too, pure, untainted by bitterness, echoing through their home like a song of victory. They savor every moment, every glance, every breath shared between them, knowing how fleeting and precious it all is. Their life together isn't perfect, but it is real, and it is theirs. Trust, once shattered, has become their strongest bond. Love, once tested, has become unbreakable. And as they sit together on their porch, watching the sun dip into the sea, they know that their story isn't over. It's still being written, each day, each moment, filled with growth, understanding, and an enduring love that will stand the test of time. The past no longer haunts them. It has become a part of their history, something that shaped them but no longer defines them. Their love is a living, breathing testament to resilience, and it is finally theirs.